Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, in this video, I will discuss or doing some presentation about applied linguistics. And in this project, applied linguistics, I'm already choose the title. It was about applied linguistics, translation, and interpreting. So, in the next slide, there is a table of contents. The first, there is an introduction about applied linguistics, translation, and interpreting. And in the second, there is a difference between translation and interpreting. And in the third, there is a translation, and I will explaining about what is the translation. And the last, there is a interpreting, and like the translation, I will explain about what is interpreting. So before I will explaining about the title that I'm choose, I will introduce myself, and my name is Wulan Anjarwati Kusuma, and I'm class 33, 6A, 25, and I'm in UPSI Cengkareng, and I'm majoring in English literature. So in this, the first, there's an introduction, applied linguistic, translation, and interpreting meaning. Okay, so about applied linguistic, translation, and interpreting, applied linguistic, translation, and interpreting are interconnected fields that share a common goal of facilitating effective communication across language and cultures. And applied linguistics is the study of how language is used in the real-life context. And translation and interpreting are the process of converting written or spoken language from one language to another, and often for professional or educational purpose. So, the application of applied linguistics in translation and interpreting is crucial for understanding the complexities of language and cultures that can affect the accuracy and effectiveness of translation and interpreting. For instance, the concept of conceptual blending theory, which explains how the meaning of a text is comprehended in real time by a listener or reader, is particularly important in literary or academic translation, where the goal is to communicate the original message in a way that appeals to the target audience. And next, there is a what is the difference between translation and interpreting? So, translation and interpreting are both need to enable communication between cultures and across language. In a world where communication is key, it is necessary to use the help of interpreters and translators to effectively communicate. So, this is the difference between translation and interpreting. The first, there is a speech versus text. So, translation predominantly deals with written language, while interpreting deals with spoken language. And delivery time, its translation takes longer than interpreting. Interpreting our text to translate the message immediately, while translators usually have days or even weeks to deliver the translation. And the translation accuracy for both process, accuracy is critical, but interpreting requires slightly lower precision. And interpreter aim for perfection, but in practice, they have to make quick decisions, and interpreting often paraphrase or leave out parts of the speech, and translator, on the other hand, can utilize the time to hunt for precise or particular words and synonyms. And the last is non-verbal communication, because they have the opportunity to notice facial expression and voice tone in interpreting can alter the transcription of speech in multicultural gatherings, and interpreting can understand jokes, metaphors, and tone and assess how this sentence might be perceived by the target audience. Okay, so this is a explanation about the difference between translation and interpreting. And next there is a so in this that I'm already explained about the difference between interpreting and translation. So on a general level, the difference between interpreting and translation is that interpreting deals with spoken language in real time, while translation focuses on written context. And interpreting translates spoken language orally, while translators translate the written word. And both require deep culture and linguistic understanding, expert knowledge of the subject matter, and the ability to communicate clearly. And another difference is that translation happens over a period of time with extensive access to external resources, compared to interpreting which occurs on the spot during a live scenario. And next, there is about a translation. What is a translation? So, according to the Oxford Dictionary, defines translation as the process of converting something written or spoken from one language to another. And the purpose of translation is to make content understandable to people who do not speak the original language. And the word translation stems from the Latin words, it's translatio, which means bringing across or carrying across. And translation, the meaning of written context from a source language into a language that is a target. And for example, like translating a written text from Spanish to English. And next, different types of translation. The different types of translation, there is a four. Like the first, there is a literary translation, and legal translation, and medical translation, and there is a last technical. So, in this literary translation is the process of converting written literary works from one language to another, aiming to preserve the original meaning, style, and aesthetic value of the source text. It, it, it involves not only conveying semantic information, but also poetic features, stylistic peculiarities, and cultural irreducibility. And next, legal translation is the process of converting legal documents, agreements, contracts, court rulings, and other legal materials from one language to another, ensuring that the translated text accurately reflects the original legal intent and maintains its legal validity. And this specialist form of translation demands a profound understanding of the legal system, linguistic expertise, and cultural awareness. And next, there is a medical translation. It's a highly specialist scientific and technical translation that covers all texts regarding healthcare and the prevention and treatment of disease. It requires professional medical translation with specific knowledge of the technical and scientific terminology used in this type of content in the source and target language. And medical translation is essential for preserving health and promoting the development of new techniques and protocols in the field. And the last, there is a technical translation involves translation of document produced by technical, written, or text which relates to technological subject areas. So it's about different types of translation, like I'm already explained before. And next, there is Next, there is what does a translator do? So, a translator is a professional who specializes in converting written or spoken material from one language to another while maintaining the original meaning, style, and cultural context. And of course, a translator have a skill. It's a professional, like translator job to capture the content, style, tone, and form of the original text accurately and then render it into the target language in writing. And translators need to be proficient in both the short and target language as well as be knowledgeable about the cultural context and intended audience. And there is a translator tools like professional translators can make the translation process easier by using machine translation tools and translation memory. And translation memories are similar to a database that has example sentences and pairs in both the short language and the target language that are based on previous translation. So the next there is about interpreting. What is interpreting? Interpreting is the process of translating spoken words between two languages, and it is the responsibility of the interpreter to listen to what is being said in one language and accurately translate it into another. And there is different types of interpreting. The first, there is a simultaneous interpretation. When the interpreter speaks at the same time as the speaker and the message is communicated in real time, it is called simultaneous interpretation. So, simultaneous interpretation entails a very challenging mode of interpretation as the interpreter must listen to speech in one language and make sense of it in their head and deliver it in another language and in real time and while the speaker talks. This is the mode of interpretation that is used in large-scale conference, governmental meetings, or any other meeting. And next, there is a consecutive interpretation. When the interpreter waits for the speaker to finish speaking before translating, this is known as consecutive interpretation. So, consecutive interpretation signs the interpreter has to wait for the speaker to finish talking. They usually take notes to remember what's being said and later use them to deliver the interpretation. And the last, there is a whispered interpretation when a person needs interpretation and the interpreter whispers the explanation to them. It is called whisper interpretation. For this, the interpreter needs to be located close to the audience, and this is typically done in small meetings and settings. And there is a what does an interpreter do? So, an interpreter is a person who makes communication between people who speak different language possible, and interpreters are trained professionals with strong linguistic and cultural knowledge who are able to interpret conversation or speech in real time. And interpreters work in a variety of settings, including conference, webinar, legal proceeding, and medical appointment, business meetings, and more. And of course, interpreter have a skills too, and to achieve this, they must have excellent language skill, including fluency in both language. Interpreter must also be skilled in active listening, note-taking, and have the ability to convey nuance in language and culture. Especially in simultaneous interpretation, interpreter must be quick on their feet, possess a strong memory, and be proficient note-takers. Within seconds, they understand the dicts and relay message to audience in another language in spoken or signed form. And of course, there is a interpreter tools. interpreters use different tools to accomplish their task, while whisper interpretation is often done face to face, and simultaneous interpretation relies heavily on technology. And when interpreters work from a box inside the conference venue, often soundboards and extensive hardware, including an interpretation head console, are necessary. And in modern settings, interpreters utilize interpreting software to stream their rendition of the speech to participants on meeting platforms, mobile apps, or audio receivers. And so, uh, the conclusion is in this discussion about plain linguistic, translation, and interpreting are interconnected fields that rely on each other to facilitate effective communication across language and cultures. And they have a difference between translation and interpreting, and they have their own time. So this is the result that I'm used for the example. And thanks for watching this video. And sorry if um they sorry if like I have some typo. And thank you for watching this video. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.